Chapter 8 Every Drop Counts. Words of Wisdom. A single flower can move a heart, a single thorn can rip it apart. Read and understand. There was once a big traffic jam on a street in Mumbai. The loud honking of the horns by impatient motorists could be heard on all sides. A red light would not turn green. The traffic policeman was unable to control the commotion. People were shouting at each other. Everybody was getting late. Just then, a young man climbed up a ladder to check the signal. He removed the front plate of the box and located the trouble at once. A wire had got disconnected. It was a small thing in itself, but look at its effect. So, here, this story is based on a traffic jam in Mumbai. The traffic was jammed because of a little bit default in the traffic light signal. Actually, the traffic light signal was supposed to give a green light after a certain time, but it was not showing green light. It was continuously showing red light. When a man climbed up on the stairs to watch what was the problem in the traffic light signal, he found that one wire got disconnected, and because of this, the green light could not show up. In Vishakhapatnam, there was much excitement in the shipbuilding yard. A new ship was being launched. Thousands of people gathered there. The then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and many other distinguished guests were also present. The great moment arrived. A special crew of men began to remove the blockings. Mrs. Indira Gandhi held a coconut in readiness. After many efforts, the ship would not move down the slipway. It was an embarrassing moment for everybody. People ran here and there. Suddenly, somebody spotted a small wedge that had jammed in between the plates. It was removed and the ship began to slide gracefully down the greased narrow way into the water. A small wedge could disrupt the entire program. The world is made up of little things. The biggest mountain is only a great big mass of little rocks joined together. The great Emperor Napoleon had conquered Europe. His planning was accurate. Perhaps he would have also won the Battle of Waterloo, but it rained the night before the battle and ruined all his plans. The rain in itself was a little thing, but it changed the course of history. So here there are three incidences given in this chapter. One was in the Mumbai, the traffic jam. Second was when the ship was about to inaugurate and released into the waters for the first time, but because of a very small default, it was not able to move down the plates. Thirdly, when we talk about Napoleon, Napoleon was a great conqueror of the whole world, but he was defeated in one battle, that was the Battle of Waterloo. It was so because of his ambitions failed, and as all the plannings were failed because it rained the night previous on the day of Battle of Waterloo. So here we can see from the three incidences that how very tiniest and small things can ruin the whole of the thing and can change the history. If it would have not rained that night, then Napoleon would be the conqueror of the whole world. Similarly, if the signal showed very correctly, then there would be no traffic jam in Mumbai. Similarly, if there were no such distractions and deviations in the plates of the ships, then the ship were to move very smoothly through the plates. So we can see that how a tiniest thing can also disrupt the whole system. Columbus on his first voyage was becoming discouraged with no sight of land. He was about to turn his ships and return to Europe when a young man saw a seaweed floating near the ship. They knew that land was near. Similarly, here it is given about Columbus. When Columbus was discovering land, he could not find land, but then he saw a small seaweed floating near the ship, from where they could easily identify that the land was very near. So it was all because of a small seaweed floating, because of which Columbus discovered America. We build our lives out of little things. Each habit is made up of countless unnoticed actions. These actions in themselves are trifle. They can be controlled, but they can become our habit. A little laziness, a little jealousy, a little hatred, if not controlled on time, can give us a bad name. But a little smile, a little word of kindness, a little patience or understanding can bring tons of joys to others. So we must always remember that these are the tiny little things which make us the whole of a being. In the same way, each individual may seem quite insignificant, but when in a group, they become a force to reckon with. One evening in the Baboon Stadium in Mumbai, 50,000 people were present to watch a match between Dara Singh of India and Tank Morgan of USA. Giant searchlights were bathing every corner of the stadium. Suddenly, the lights went out and there was a total darkness in the stadium. People started whistling and children began to cry. Tank Morgan came to the microphone and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am striking a match. Can you see the flame?" There was a mighty roar as the people replied yes. "Then why don't each of you also strike a light?" Tank Morgan said. In an instant, there were about 50,000 pinpoints of light. Everyone gasped with surprise. They understood the importance of the contribution of each person to the whole. So, children, here you can see that how even when the lights went off from the whole of the stadium, because of the contribution of everyone's small lights, the whole stadium lightened again. Little drops of water can make big oceans. Each grain of sand contributes in making the vast desert. Thus, a kind word or action contributes significantly in making us better human being. So we must always remember that these are the tiny and small things which help us to become a person as a whole. We are never as a single identity. We are always formed of very small things that even we do not notice. So, children, we must always remember we should value every small thing that makes up a whole human being and this whole world.